welcome to another reading lesson with Miss Meadows. I am so excited to be reading with you today. Now, we are starting a new week of HMH, so we are going to be doing a read aloud, which means you do not need your My Books today. All you need is to check and make sure. Can you check? Do you have your ears? Check and make sure you've got those. Okay, I'm glad you do. Now, did you bring your thinking brain? Check and make sure you've got it. Got it? All right, then you are all set. If you've got your iPad, if you've got your headphones, if you've got your brain in your ears, you are ready to go. So we're going to start with our vocabulary today, and our first word is the word famous. Can you say famous? Very good. Famous is an adjective or a describing word. Someone or something that is famous is known by a lot of people. So, for example, Abraham Lincoln that we see in this statue here is a famous president. He is known by a lot of people, which makes him famous. Our next word is center. Can you say center? Very good. Center is a noun or a person, place, or thing word. A center is a building or place that is used for a special reason. So, for example, many cities have a recreation center where people can play sports or swim in a pool. So we have the YMCA you might have heard of. That is where it is a center where people can go to play sports or swim in a pool. A center. Next is government. Can you say government? Very good. Government is a noun or a person, place, or thing word. A government is the group of people who are in charge of a city, state, or country. So the people in our city's government make important decisions about what happens in our city. So we elect those people knowing that they are going to make decisions on our behalf or for us. They're people we elect or vote on and who are in charge of a city, state, or country. Next word is brittle. Can you say brittle? That's kind of fun to say. Say it 3 times. Brittle, brittle, brittle. Funny. That sounds funny. Brittle is an adjective or a describing word. If something is brittle, it is easy to break it. So these leaves here are brittle because they are dead leaves, so they are dry and crunchy, and if you touch them, they probably break because they are brittle, easy to break. The next word is signed. Can you say signed? Very good. Signed is a verb or an action word. If you sign your name on something, you wrote your name on it. So every single time you write your name on the top of your paper before you start an assignment, you sign your name on top of it. And our last word is papers. Can you say papers? Very good. Papers is a noun or a person, place, or thing word. Papers have important things written on them. So I keep all of my important papers in my filing cabinet or in drawers or storage in my classroom. It is important things, important paperwork. I also have important student files by my desk. That's where I keep things that have important information on them so that I can look back on it and learn what's on the papers. So that is it for our vocabulary today. High five me, high five a friend. We are ready to move along to our anchor chart, which is on text features. Say text features. Very good. Authors choose text and graphic features to help explain ideas or to help readers locate information. So we have 4 examples in the 4 different corners of our anchor chart. First is captions. Can you say captions? Very good. Captions are words or sentences about a picture. So we would have a picture or a photo, and then the caption are the words underneath it that describe the picture. The next is chapter headings. Can you say chapter headings? Very good. Chapter headings organize the information by chapter. So it's different sections of the book, and the heading or the bigger font are kind of the titles for chapters that tell us what we're going to be reading about in that chapter. Next is italic text. That's kind of a fun word. Can you say italic? Now I want you to hold your hands like this, and I want you to slant them to the side. Give them a slant. When we have italic text, it means that the words are slanted. They are leaning a little bit, and it means pay attention or read with more feeling. So we add italic text if we want to say, whoa, pay attention to this. It means this might be important, or we need to maybe need to read it with more feeling. That's why we would use italic text. And last, it says text can be in different sizes. So bigger text, say bigger text. That's usually more important than smaller text. If it's smaller, it might mean it's just a little detail, but bigger text means this is important. We need to remember this. It's an important detail in the story. It draws our eyes right to it. So our story today, you don't need your My Book. This is not in your My Book. This is just a story I'm going to read to you that you are going to listen to. It is called Can We Ring the Liberty Bell is the title. The author is Martha E. H. Rusted, a person who writes the words, and it's illustrated by Kyle Poling, the person who draws the pictures. Already on the cover, I'm making some observations. I see that there are 3 characters. It looks like one might be a grown-up and the other 2 are kids. And there is a bell that looks like, to me, it's got what on it? Yeah, it's got a crack on it. I wonder if our story will explain that to us. And I bet, because the title is Can We Ring the Liberty Bell, that bell we're seeing on the cover is the Liberty Bell. Let's read to find out. This is our table of contents. A table of contents describes or lays out our chapters for us. So we've got chapter 1 will be a visit to the Liberty Bell, and that's the page in the book that it's on. Chapter 2 is a bell to share the news. Chapter 8, or that will be on page 8, sorry. Chapter 3 is a symbol of liberty, will be on page 16. Chapter 4 will be ringing for freedom on page 18. And then there are some other little end of the book things that are outside of the story down here, like the glossary and hide the Liberty Bell and to learn more, and then the index. So go ahead and give a listen. I'm going to move myself kind of to the center right here so that you are able to see the words. So we've got chapter 1, a visit to the Liberty Bell. That's our chapter heading we talked about. Today is a field trip day. Our teacher says we are going to see a famous American symbol. Making a connection, we've been talking a lot about different American symbols. It looks like today we might be learning about a new one. Melissa says, my big brother plays the cymbals in band. Mr. Chen smiles, not the instrument. Here the word symbol means something that stands for something else. Like a heart means love, says Amira. Yes, says Mr. Chen. Can anyone name a symbol of America? Before we read on, can any of you name a symbol of America we've learned about? Go ahead, tell me into your microphone. Yeah, good job. I heard the flag. I heard the Statue of Liberty. I heard the eagle. Great, great answers. The flag, says Benjamin. The bald eagle, says Simon. Good thinking, our teacher says. Today we are going to see the Liberty Bell. Liberty is another word for freedom, which is one of our vocabulary words we learned the other day that means the ability to choose what you want to do. Then this over here is giving us some facts. It says the Liberty Bell hangs in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is a different state than us. We are in New York. Pennsylvania is a different state, but it is a state very close to us. It is just south of us. A copy of the Liberty Bell hangs in every U.S. state. Most states keep their bell in or near the state capitol building. And turn our page. Move myself down here. We ride the bus to Independence National Historic Park. Ranger Marcella meets us outside the Liberty Bell Center. Welcome, she says. I have a riddle for you. The Liberty Bell doesn't make a sound. So how can we help it ring? If it doesn't make a sound, how can we help it ring? Shake it? Asks Thomas. No, we can't shake it, answers Ranger Marcella. Then this little blurb here says, if you want to visit the Liberty Bell, you'll have to spit out your gum and candy. Sticky foods are not allowed near the Liberty Bell. Why do you think that is? Yeah, because it could, if you accidentally spit it out or dropped it, it could stick on the Liberty Bell and it would damage it. We wouldn't want to do that. We have a new chapter heading here. It says Chapter 2, a bell to share the news. Look behind me, Ranger Marcella says. During the 1700s, that building was called the Pennsylvania State House. We learned that people in Pennsylvania's government worked in the State House. Ranger Marcella says, let's talk about communication. How do we learn the news today? Watch TV, says Ryan. Mr. Chen says, I check my phone. Listen to the radio, Sylvia says. Our guide asks, did people have phones, radios, or TVs in the 1700s? No, we all say. We learned that bells rang to tell people there was news. Then people went to the State House to find out what was happening. So back in the day, they didn't have TVs or phones or iPads or radios like we have today. So the Liberty Bell was used back in the day to tell people that there was news. So they would ring the bell and people would hear that bell and they would go, oh, there's news. There's something I need to know about that's happening in our world. This fact over here in the blue says it took 19 years to build the Pennsylvania State House. That's because the government kept running out of money to pay workers to build it. Pretty nifty. Move myself again. We follow our guide into the museum inside the Liberty Bell Center. She tells us that the State House needed a new bell in 1751. Workers in England, which is another country besides America, made a bell that year, Ranger Marcella says. It arrived in Pennsylvania in 1752. But it cracked the first time it was rung. It cracked right away, says Jaden. Yes, it was too brittle. There's one of our vocabulary words. It was too brittle, which means it was easy to break. So workers here melted the bell down. They made a new bell with the metal, she tells us. It was hung in the State House. So we see here in this picture, when they rang it the first time, it cracked just like we saw in the picture on the cover. Because it was too brittle, the metal they used was too easy to break. They rang it and it cracked. So here, we've got another fact. It says the Liberty Bell is made mostly of copper, which is a type of metal. It also contains tin, lead, zinc, arsenic, gold, and silver, which are also different types of metals. I ask you, this is a quote from Frederick Douglass, I ask you to adopt the principles proclaimed by yourself, by your Revolutionary fathers, and by the old bell in Independence Hall, which is the Liberty Bell we're talking about. Move myself up. On this page, we've got some of our founding fathers here, some of the people who helped to form our country of America. We walk through the museum. When the bell was made, Pennsylvania was part of Great Britain, which again is another country like America. Ranger Marcella says, many people living in America wanted their own country. They wanted to be free and to make their own laws. The Declaration of Independence said America wanted to be its own country. It was signed in 1776. The Constitution is a set of rules for our government. It was signed in 1787. So these are all our founding fathers, or the people who helped create America, gathering together to sign the Declaration of Independence, saying that we were free from Great Britain and could have our own rules and our own country outside of them, which we now call America. Take a look at this X-ray, Ranger Marcella says. It shows what happened to the bell in 1846. I had an X-ray when I broke my arm, says Zach. We all look at the big X-ray of the bell. We can see a crack. I see a crack on that X-ray too, do you? The bell cracked and broke when it rang for George Washington's birthday. Does anyone know who that was? Do any of my friends know who is George Washington? Tell me into the microphone. Oh, so yeah, some good thoughts, good thoughts. Let's see if you were right. Yes, he was our first president, answers Delia. Correct, he died in 1799. We still remember his birthday, our guide says. The bell rang for the last time on that day in 1846. Now, if you look here in this blue little blurb, It says no one knows for sure why the bell cracked. It may have been rung too much or for too many years. Tiny cracks had appeared before, but people were still able to ring it. After the big crack formed, the bell could not be rung anymore. Chapter 3 says, a symbol of liberty is our chapter heading. At last we see the bell. Why do we call it the Liberty Bell? Asks Mr. Chen. Good question, Ranger Marcella says. Look closely at the top. I see the word liberty right there, says Nicholas. If you see here on the bell, it says liberty right there. It says proclaim liberty by order of the assembly. Yes, our guide says, it says proclaim liberty. Proclaim means to tell everyone about something. So they would tell everyone about liberty. So proclaim liberty means to tell everyone about freedom. We learned that people began calling the bell the Liberty Bell in the 1830s. Chapter 4, our heading is Ringing for Freedom. Can we ring the Liberty Bell? Asks Diana. Sorry, says Ranger Marcella. Remember, the Liberty Bell is broken. It doesn't ring anymore. Mia says, but your riddle said we can help it ring. How can we ring a bell that doesn't work anymore? Ranger Marcella says, we ring the bell by being fair to everyone. We make sure everyone has freedom. This little blurb says, the Liberty Bell weighs 2,080 pounds or 943 kilograms. That's as much as 260 gallons of milk, which is crazy. Miss Meadows could never carry that much milk. It is almost 4 feet wide and 3 feet tall. Marcella means by saying that we ring the bell by being fair to everyone and making sure everyone has freedom means that even though we can't actually physically ring the bell and make it make noise, by being kind to everyone and a friend to everyone, we are always ringing that Liberty Bell. Even if we can't actually make it make noise, we honor the Liberty Bell and the freedom of others by being kind to people every single day, which is a really special thing, I think. Alrighty. Our field trip is almost over. What do we say to our guide? Mr. Chen asks. Thank you, Ranger Marcella, we say together. Back at school, we hear the bell ring at the end of the day, which we hear a bell ring at the end of our school day too. That bell rings for your freedom from school, our teacher jokes. We all run around on the playground. It's good to be free. Every year, relatives of the country's founders tap the Liberty Bell on July 4th. People also tap the bell in January on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. They do this to honor King's work for freedom for all people, which we talked about just the other week. Alrighty, so that is the end of our story today. Your job and what I would like you to do next is, just like we made an advertisement or a poster for the Statue of Liberty, I would like you to do something similar for the Liberty Bell. So if you could, either you can use recording a video on your iPad and putting it into Pages or Freeform, or you can make a poster like you did before. I would like it if you could make a poster describing the Liberty Bell and facts that you learned about the Liberty Bell. That can either be in a poster or it can be in a video you record on your iPad, but share facts that you learned about the Liberty Bell so that we can present it to our class, maybe put it on the announcements, share it with others so that they can learn about the Liberty Bell too. You have kind of open-ended. Remember that you can use your iPad and that microphone button to ask questions and do more research on the Liberty Bell if you're interested, or to help you to draw a picture. But I would like you to have at least 2 facts about the Liberty Bell on your poster or in your video. So either look those up or you can go back in the video and re-listen to find those, but make sure you've got 2 facts on your poster about the Liberty Bell. You can have more, but you've got to have at least 2. Have so much fun making your project, either your poster or your video or your iPad creation, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, friends!